All right. Welcome to the Express TC meeting for September 21st. Um, we have Rand, Yapa, and Doug um, together as the current attendees. We have a couple things on our agenda, which is talk about the proposed README guidelines, um, then talk about docs for the HBS module, which is a recently adopted module, and then just anything else that we think of. So the agenda, the pre-arranged agenda is not too big right for today. So yeah, I guess we'll start with the proposed README guidelines. Rand, if you want to take it away on that topic.
Sure, yeah. So we discussed it last time a bit, Doug, but since no one else was in the meeting, let's see, let me find the link to it and put it, let's see, should I put it in the issue or in the Hangout?
Just put it in the issue. I don't think that, so the viewers can't view anything in the chat and the Hangout, I don't think.
Okay.
Eventually, when I need to update all these videos to like just put that supporting documentation. So probably this one will actually go right into our channel. So going forward, I'm going to try to like take any links that we put, which we can just put in that GitHub issue, and I'll try to like at least copy them all into the video's description area for anybody who comes by later. That'll be a good way to keep track of that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just copied the link to it. It's in the wiki, the express.js.com repo wiki. And we kind of went over it a little bit last week, but it's just some sort of basic guidelines for READMEs. And the idea of Yapa is that since we're now pulling in a bunch of the READMEs sort of into the doc site, at least for the middleware ones, that we should try and make them maybe a little more consistent. And most of them, I think, are pretty close to this. There's a few outliers and a few, things that probably need to be cleaned up. But before I went through and did any of that, I thought it would make sense to sort of at least agree on the general sort of template, or and what should be in the READMEs, and then I can sort of go through and edit them and make sure they all follow the template. Yeah. So the only thing I guess that I had a little question about maybe was the badges, and Doug was saying, well, maybe we shouldn't have the badges, or maybe they should not be included into the doc site. I don't know, not sure. I mean, people may want to know, for example, that it's, what the test coverage is, so there may be information there that would be useful for people to have, but
yeah. And so my thought about the badges for the guidelines was because we talked about should the guidelines specify which specific badges to have and stuff. And I think that probably it should at some point. My thought was we talked about because like Rand said, he's pulling in the READMEs onto the Express.js website in that certain area there.
Yeah.
And I commented that we probably don't need, like when it does the pull, it could probably just drop those badges, because I feel like as far as the documentation goes, the badges don't really add much. The badges are just like just a big thing everybody likes these days. Like, so actually having a module on GitHub or npm without badges would actually probably, that's not, really something weird is going on for sure. It seems like I've heard from some people, so people love their badges, but actually on the website seems like badges probably aren't really necessary. And that's what I kind of talked about for the badges, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not required for the website. I think it's more of something which should go to the GitHub repository.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can figure out a way to hide that. It's
Yeah, so we can hide it probably via either CSS, or if not even you or even myself or Yappo want to go take a stab at it, that little script that pulls it in could probably just
Hmm.
do it in there.
Yeah.
Get readmes.sh guy.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I was going to mention I actually rewrote that in Node, and I haven't had a chance to put it into the Express.js.com repo. But here I have it's a little it's in the strong loop org, but it's just a little open source utility. It's not really here out there. Actually, let me put it in the issue as well, since we were saying that. I'll just add it to my last comment. My utility script, and since I figured, we should really do it in Node and not in not in Bash, which is kind of an awful programming language anyway.
Yeah. Well, actually, I did look at your Bash script, and it does look actually it's pretty tidy. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's a pretty gnarly Bash scripts, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Node version is a lot cleaner in my opinion, and the only thing is that it uses this other package that uses the GitHub API, and it right now it just grabs the whole README, so there's really no way to pull out stuff, but we can certainly post process it before we save it, so that could that's easy enough to do, but I haven't got.
Yeah, and like I said, we can certainly play with it, knowing where it is and stuff. So that'd
Yeah.
be cool. That'd be cool to look at.
Yeah, feel free. It's there it is. It's just a little. I'm actually as an aside, I'm in the middle of this big sort of process to move the loopback documentation into GitHub to use Jekyll, and sort of making it more like more open source documentation, as opposed to it used to be in a Confluence wiki, which meant that no one else could edit it. Anyway, long story short, I'm gonna use this script as well on that site, so it's gonna get dual use.
All right.
Anyway, so Yappa, yeah, if you have any comments, you don't have to necessarily do it right now, but if you want to give any comments on that, on the README guidelines and template, or if it looks okay to you, let me know. I think
Yeah, sure.
Doug has more or less reviewed it, and it's fairly straightforward. There's nothing earth shattering there really, or anything too weird. But if we can sort of get a general consensus that it seems reasonable, then I'll sort of take it on myself to go through all the READMEs and make sure that they all basically conform to this, and then we'll have some more consistency.
Yep. I just scanned through it really quickly, and it looks good to me.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, I'll spend some more time on it.
Okay.
If there is anything, I'll let you know.
All right. Great. Thanks. So yeah, I don't know, Doug. I don't know if you want to have like a vote, or if you want to make anything official like that, or just say, let's move forward on the README stuff, or how you want to handle that.
So so we usually just do it kind of like we don't need it to be really heavy.
Okay.
So usually what I like to say here, because I mean it's hard to know what everybody's doing and things like that. I mean we post about it and do all that stuff just like anything. So really I would say especially if we gave it like even a week, and more, like really unless someone comes out and says like they object to it or something, then everybody who does kind of talk about it seems like it's okay, seems like it's fine, and there's no one saying like no, don't do that, blah blah blah. No reason to just keep waiting forever. So, and I just gave it a little thumbs up on the issue 33. So
okay, cool.
Just to give an added thing. But yeah, so I say like probably just let's go ahead and just say that's the thing. I mean, we can always talk if anybody else comes I mean, we can always adjust things, so
Sure. Yeah.
no
Okay.
big deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. So next item is going to be talk about the HBS docs. If you want to take that as well.
Yeah. So we just got this repo, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's I think this is the only view engine that we have. Is that right, Doug?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So that's pretty cool. And I mean, it's got a little README file, but it doesn't really have much else. And I don't know. Do we want to dive into adding that to the doc repo, or do we want to keep it? I mean, it's not strictly Express per se, but I'm just wondering how much do we want to fold that in? And I know there was some talk about making it the default, view engine or template engine. That's kind of a separate issue, I guess. But
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's more of a question on my part.
yeah, I mean, I think that we should certainly look at if we can at least I haven't actually looked at what its actual docs look like yet. But um, especially if they're not real, if depending on their situation, at least kind of like going and saying like, oh yeah, maybe even like a PR to that module because I know um, looks like Romanist just 3 days ago released a patch version of it. So
Yeah.
if we want to make like a PR to it to kind of like rearrange, even just like first just rearranging it a little bit to kind of like go with like that stuff. And yeah, as far as like putting it on the website, I mean, it seems like it's okay to put it there as like a utility kind of thing. To me,
Okay.
yeah, I see there isn't actually too many issues or PRs. And the README is pretty, it has stuff.
Yeah.
It's certainly not very expensive, but it also has stuff. I mean, because a lot of it I can understand. Like the module itself isn't the actual template language, it's actually just handlebars.
Right. Right.
And of course, it's more about just how do you actually use it in Express. But
Yeah.
so I guess there isn't too much really to talk about. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it certainly could probably just like, and there's actually a few different modules in some of these repos that are active modules and probably some rearranging their bodies as well. Like when it comes to mind of a kind of like a really at its docs either, the Killer.js cookies module that was also kind of like an adopted a long time ago module, and yeah, its documentation is kind of like most of its documentation for API is just like one giant example at the bottom. So yeah, so things like that is like certainly things we can start with to try to like figure out what we can kind of like start doing on them. So yeah, seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take a closer look at it. I haven't really dived into it, but I'll see what I can come up with in terms of improvements, and I'll just I'll open a PR, whatever I have, and figure out where it should go on the website. I guess probably under resources. Not sure. Or I mean, we have a page on template engines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm sure we'll feel it out. Like you said, it's the only one right now that's actually under our org. Whether or not it may be the only one ever, or there might be one more. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
We have it there just because I know it's a pretty big player. And the way our templating system is right now, it's actually, people like having it. So like the module, there's and certainly I've thought about changing this to an Express 5 at some point, but like right now the way Express is like it kind of like wants you to have a module name that's the same name as the file extension, which of course once someone
Yep.
publishes one implementation of it, there's not really a way to, provide alternatives because of that pattern. So easily. So this module happens to have the same as a file name, a common file name one. So it was nice to kind of like keep it dead. So
Yeah.
it might eventually leave. Who knows if someone wants to take it? I wouldn't be opposed. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
But otherwise, I say, yeah, we could certainly spruce up its read. Wanted to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I noticed in the README is that the link to Express is to the old Vision Media org, which I mean, it gets redirected, but still doesn't look too good. I mean, it's just outdated. That's all. It's not a big. So, all right, I'll see what I can do. Like I said, I've been kind of slammed with this other project I've been in the middle of, but as soon as I can get out from under that, I'll take a swipe at the README.
Yeah, and like anything, no really big hurry. We all kind of do this just as a non-hurry thing, anyways. So makes it nice, I think.
For sure. All right. Thanks.
Cool. I mean, that was pretty much it for the actual agenda items itself. I don't know if either of you have like any other thing on top of your mind. Otherwise, I think I have a couple things I can just chat about.
I don't think I have anything else. That's about it. Those are my two items.
Cool.
Yeah, let's hear, Doug, what do you have to say?
Cool. So what I was going to say was that what I've been thinking about a lot for us to do is kind of like a lot of this is on documentation front, and I tried to start kind of like doing a little bit of stuff. So one thing that I've noticed from people just commenting on repos just a little bit is that I think one of us said that, maybe Rand maybe even said it too, but like, or I talked to him about it maybe, was like our contributing guide or whatever. So we have, one, the contributing guide is only in the main Express repo right now, right? But I think part of that is just because we haven't really dug into it and kind of like tried to make it something we wanted. But yeah, so at some point we probably need to dig into that contributing thing there and and read through it, because right now it came from the Node.js Foundation, so it's pretty generic. But we'll probably want to like spruce it up to be more specific. So for example, it just says things like, I don't know, make a pull request, run the test. It's like, okay, well, how do you run the test? It's really, we could just write down, run npm test. We don't mention anywhere where, not all the modules yet, but most of them all have, standard. So we probably should mention there somewhere in there, like, and this module is formatted using the standard style guide. So here's where you can read about it and, run this command to check your changes, meet the style guide, and, or, / run this command can automatically fix any mistakes that you made, manually do it. Then, stuff like that is probably stuff we should probably put in there at some point. That just eases the burden really on us for when people contribute, because then we don't have to do that or tell them or anything like that, because just like, yeah, it's a lot of people though. So some people won't read it, but there's actually, I would say, a fair amount of people who are actually inclined enough to contribute usually do kind of look at it. So it is nice to have. Other things that I think we probably need to, any of us, including myself, need to just kind of do is like, so we got the contributing guide, which is kind of like, definitely needs a lot of cleaning up. But also like, maybe like, that's something that I need to probably put on my plate, I guess, is like just write down like release. We have that one release guide, but it's actually pretty good. I'd like to it that Mike had put together. So So that, and like really that some of that stuff we could probably put up on the website is what I was thinking, like under the resources section or something, just like somewhere. Especially like potentially, especially like, we're making this like docs kind of standard. Like I would almost think like a contributing guide could be kind of like semi-standard as well. So that way we can easily make it so we say in one of the repos we check in like contribute.md file. It says basically to maybe like here's a couple top level bullet points, and here's a link to like wherever on the Express site that has the full thing. So that way we can easily change it in a central location without like copying it every freaking place.
Yeah.
Um,
So we do have the contributing guidelines on the site already.
No, that's I think specifically for Express.
Yes, just well, let's see. It says Express and other projects in the Express.js organization are governed under general policies, blah, 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 along with the additional guidelines below. So it kind of, I mean, it sort of, applies to everything, I think. There's the link.
right. Yeah, and I've read that and stuff. And
Yeah.
it does have a bunch of stuff. It's a lot of it is, like I said, it's the same kind of thing. And it does have a little bit of information, and we really just kind of like probably any of us need to probably come through it like myself too, and just kind of like if any of us notices like some things we can expand on.
Yeah.
Because like there's like a steps for contributing says create an issue for the bug you want to fix or feature you want to add, create your own fork on GitHub, and check out your fork, write code in your local repo, blah blah. And it's actually fairly okay. It's actually fairly good. Like one thing we probably need to do really too is just take that contributing file and just actually kind of like probably want to we might even want to check in like a gut to that and just point to here.
Yeah.
So that way we don't have like copies of it around.
You mean instead of having the text on the site, just link to the?
No. I meant have the text as like the actual like the site be the source.
Oh, I see.
And then like even like Express itself can just link to it.
Okay.
So that way we can easily have one central place.
Yeah.
It's also easy for especially like people to make changes to it and whatever. But
yeah,
yeah,
I think that makes sense. Yeah, not having it's good not to duplicate stuff like that. I agree. Just have one source of truth, as it were.
Yep. But cool.
Okay.
So yeah, like that. And then I was also thinking recently, so like, because we have I know we have like our TC people in there, and at the time it was just made up of just the people based on just we were basing it off of like the commits and just some data real quick just to get the initial going.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember that, Rand, Yappa was kind of like, I think you were between some stuff at the time. All that was going on. But what we need to probably do, because I was thinking about this actually just the other day, was that I know we have some TC members that really are just kind of there but don't really do much. And I mean, sure, there's one thing to say like honorary TC members, but at the same time, like it's the hardest part I feel like is keeping everything trimmed. Like not even just the TC members itself, but just I was actually just in the GitHub, the Express.js member list because I was just looking at the new like 2-factor auth thing in there or whatever. But I was like, oh yeah, this person, I don't think they've done anything for quite some time and things like that. So we should probably think about not take any action yet, but just internally, if you want to think about like how can we kind of like do that, right? Because like in the guidelines it says voluntarily resign or something like that, but you know how that works. Even if someone does want to resign, I mean, maybe they just forget or whatever. I mean, it's just easy to leave. So like, I don't know if there's some kind of way to do it or something. I don't know. I've kind of thought about it. It's actually really, I feel like it's kind of like a hard problem because you don't want to do it and like the person's like, wait, no, I do want to be or whatever. It's like, oh, okay. So, and we're not going to be like, oh, whoever attends these meetings is who is on there. That doesn't make any sense either. Because ideally, everybody on the TC should be attending the TC meetings, but we all have stuff going on, and so we can always give our input in the actual issue. So like anybody can watch TC and say like, oh yeah, I object to that you said or something, and here's why and whatever. And you can always whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts that you guys have? Cool. I'm not saying right now, but just because I don't have ideas yet on this problem. It's not really a problem either. Like I just was thinking about it recently, and just stuff to think about before it gets too crazy on it.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point you brought up, Doug. And I wonder if some of the TC members, they are aware that they are part of the Express TC.
You mean they might not even know that they're part of?
Yep. That's what I was wondering.
But at the same time, so every time we at the Express TC in these meetings, it actually goes to an email is sent to all those members. They can't easily silence that without literally removing themselves, as far as I know.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like Linus and Blake have shown up fairly often to the TC meetings. Some of the other ones, I guess Jeremiah is involved from time to time as well. A couple of the other ones I'm not familiar with, specifically Nifty Lettuce, who doesn't even have an actual real name. I don't know who. I don't know who that is. Maybe do you know who that is, Doug?
So he has a couple modules in the Express.js that were moved in there. But actually, so they're old TJ modules, and he was just kind of maintaining them a little bit. I really don't know. And it's fine to have people doing that in here. I mean, but it's hard to manage the, organization if you don't hear from everybody at least,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's active on GitHub, just as a general. What repos in? Nothing directly in Express.js recently. Some Koa stuff. Makes sense, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't know. We have to.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I just as a possibility, it's like if we're trying to maybe trim the list down a little bit, it's like he as far as I know, he's never been to a TC meeting and hasn't been involved, at least to my knowledge.
And it's certainly possible that some of them might just, because really like the fluidity between TC and just even internal contributors is actually is from that current guidelines is kind of fluidish, kind of like move between the two. So I mean, I'll probably put together some kind of like issue and see who responds, and like I mean say like if you really don't want to be part of the TC, let us know here. I mean, I don't really hear from you in like a couple weeks or something, I can remove you from the TC list so you don't have to see all those emails. And whatever. So we'll see. So that might be an answer. So just kind of like probe out there on GitHub.
Right, sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then conversely, if there's any people who do want to get involved, if they've I guess if they've made some commits or made enough some contributions and they want to get more involved, that certainly I think we should encourage that. It's not like the TC meetings are overcrowded or anything like that. So yeah. It makes sense to just to manage it like you say in the long run. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that was only the kind of stuff I was thinking about there. I don't have too much now because like I was at the Node stuff last week and then kind of like tired.
Yeah.
Haven't thought about stuff. I was actually thinking about it, today. I was like, darn, I need to probably think of a couple things to put on the agenda, but didn't really think of too much. So,
So were you at, was it Node Summit that you were at?
It's the Linux Foundation's Node.js Interactive.
Oh, the one in Amsterdam. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe. So how was it? You want to give us a quick, summary or report if you how to go?
Yeah, it was good. I talked about. I gave them a little keynote about like Express and this kind of stuff about what we've been kind of doing, like having like we have like a TC now, and we're actually like having these meetings every other week, and we're inside of the Node.js Foundation incubating project and what that kind of means, and a few different things like that. Um, and I'm pretty certain they're going to probably publish a recording of it at some point. So whenever they do that, I will get the link.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah, I was wondering if those videos were available on YouTube, but I could not find them.
Yeah,
Maybe
so as far as
sometime
I
in
can
future.
see, the Node.js channel, which is called just Node.js, I guess. Yeah. Is where previous interactive stuff got posted on. So I assume that's where it would end up on.
Okay.
So I've been kind of watching that a little bit to see if it appears on there or whatever. So
Yeah, that'd be cool if it's. I'm sure I imagine they'll publish the video of it at some point. That'd be cool. We could put a link to that on the site. That'd be for
right.
people to be seeing that.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not really like there's not really. It's mostly non-technical stuff. So just about, like I said, history. Like we moved into the beginning the incubating project at the beginning of 2016. Talked about that we got what it doesn't really do anything to the users, but it gives us like the two mentors we have, Michael and James, so we can ask them questions about governance and things like that. And if we need something, we have their ear kind of thing. um, I talked a bit about like the project organization that like Express.js had, the Express.js project, which is different from the module, because the module is
Yeah.
one piece of it, has the three organizations, Pillar.js, HTTP, and kind of like talked about kind of like how they kind of fit together in high level kind of stuff, just because a lot of people just didn't know. Especially I knew that people didn't know. Yeah, you probably saw when we were talking about moving in the HBS thing. I was like, "Yep," and I added you to the Pillar.js org so you can move it there. And then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute." They moved it, and then they were like, "Wait a minute," and then
Yeah.
that was like the place for it to go die or something. I was like, no. Yeah, that's definitely not the intention in any way. So, so yeah, I think a lot of that's useful, and I really, and I'll probably I'll probably post the slide somewhere, but like I really want to get the talk out because like, or at least myself, kind of like we really, one of us, probably me, is where it would land on, is try to get like some stuff up there onto the website or something that explains this same thing.
Yep, that would be really cool. Yep.
Yeah, because I know we talked about that a lot. I'm sure, Rand, you remember way long
Yeah.
beginning of this year kind of stuff. It's not really to go in super detail, but at least like kind of like a high level overview would be good at some point. So I talked about that. I talked about kind of like how to get how we're kind of like working on getting essentially more contributors, and by that really just like how we're working on documentation, right? Like how we're working, we have like the basic contributing guide, got some feedback, some little bit that, it was kind of like some people said it was too generic. So, how we can get that be better, that we're, putting up this thing about the organizations on there. Um, Talked about, I mentioned this to Yapa before he came on, but it's like, one idea is that, we might even have some spot on the website even for like current Express topics, for example, like async promises in the router, and kind of like not really to say too much on it, more like to say like, oh, here's like, this is like a current topic, like here's a link to some random issues that's being talked in or something, and kind of like, here's like some like very high level summary. So that way, whenever people come by and say, hey, where is this at or something, we can kind of like just say, here's a link to the section on the website that kind of like gives some kind of overview. And since it's on the website, right, we can make pull requests to it to update it and stuff. So it seems like it'd be pretty minimal overhead to do that. And then since it's on the website, right, theoretically anyone can do that, even not us. So that would also help, potentially even help with like that kind of like any kind of potential maintenance burden, because it's not meant to be like a maintenance burden either. It's just meant to be helpful for not only other people and like more transparent, but just for us too. Because every time someone asks about it, we can either just ignore it and not answer them, or we can explain the whole thing all over again.
I just link them to the web page. Yep.
Right. So it's helpful for us if we can just say, here's a link to the section about it,
Yeah, exactly.
And we might even have people not ask it because they found it themselves even. So
yep.
But yeah, so that'd be cool. And a lot of it's kind of hard too, because Express.js, itself is not like a super crazy project, right? It's kind of like a lot of the time it's kind of like done-ish. We'll probably certainly, especially once the core starts moving more on the HTTP2 stuff, we're to James a bit about a lot. Potentially we might have to do something around there, but maybe even not. So we'll see.
Yep. See.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I definitely want to get a link to that recording of it, because that'd be awesome to put somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it certainly has some good information in there that, just like anything, sometimes read down, but sometimes it's nice to kind of like hear someone just kind of like tell it to you instead of like trying to read it or something too. So
Yep.
Sure.
But yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I wanted to mention that I'm going to be talking at Node Interactive in Austin, Texas, at the end of, it's actually the end of November, beginning of December. I submitted a proposal and they accepted it. It's I'm going to be talking about documenting Node projects. So more or less, sort of give some of the lessons that I've learned at working on Express.js.com and working on Loopback, and the talks are only 20 minutes long, so I'm gonna have to talk really fast, I guess, to get.
Yep.
So.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't really have too much else to talk for, and I'm kind of tired from lag a little bit. So unless you guys have anything else, I guess we'll.
Yeah, I guess that's it for today.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Yapa.
Yeah, it was great talking to you guys after a long time, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen you in a while.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Care. Guys, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.